In this session, I'm going to solve one of the Java lab exercise. This is part of the second semester BCA Java lab. I'm going to solve the question number 6 in part B. So this particular question reads as follows. We are supposed to create a program that implements multi-threads. So that means there will be more than one thread. In particular, we are supposed to create three threads. The first thread will generate a random integer for every second, and the second thread will compute the square of this number if the random integer is even number. The third thread will generate the cube of the number if the generated value is odd number. So if you didn't get this particular question, the question is very simple. You generate a random number. Let me take you have generated a random number called as 23. Randomly you took one number 23. It struck my mind, and that is 23. This is an odd number. So because it's an odd number, we are supposed to calculate if it is odd number, the third will create a cube of this. So you are supposed to create the cube of 23, that is 23 into 23 into 23, 3 times. Suppose the random number generated is 76. I'm just giving you one random number. This is an even number. So the second thread, notice over here, if it is an even number, the second thread must compute the square of this number. So what is the meaning of saying square of this number? 76 whole square, 76 into 76, 2 times. So one thread will generate a random number like this. Depending upon whether it is an even or odd, either the second thread or the third thread will compute the remaining part. So you are supposed to create 3 threads. So there are 3 parts that you are supposed to do in this particular exercise. First, you must write a code that will generate a random number like this, 76, 23 or anything. Randomly it will generate one integer number. So automatically it will just generate one number, and that is the first part. Second part is, depending upon which number got generated, either the second thread or the third thread, one among them, either the second or the third thread has to be executed. So this is the idea behind it. Now in order to complete this particular exercise, I am going to use one of the IDE called as NetBeans. So NetBeans is free. You can easily download it from the internet. Just search for NetBeans and you will get a download link. You can easily download it from the internet and install it by double clicking the exe file and clicking next, and it will install it for you. So let's look at the NetBeans that I am using. I am using the version 8.1. Okay, the older version. I think now it is 13 or something. Newer version is available. I have already installed it on my system long ago, so I am not reinstalling it, but the procedure remains same. So there is no change for a simple Java exercise. Definitely for a higher Java EE and other things, enterprise Java and other things, that they have made a lot of new additions. Now maybe in the other videos I may use the newer version of NetBeans. For now I'm going to use the 8.1 version. Again, the procedure remains same. You know very well, you have used Microsoft Word, either 2010 version or 2016 version. There are some minor variations will be there here and there, but the remaining steps are same. So whenever you are using the NetBeans, you will notice that this income tax is there because I've selected one project, so don't worry about that. You are supposed to click on this file menu over here, file, and select the new project. So click on file and new project, and inside this new project you will be given lot of options, like you can create Java FX, Java web, and so on so forth. You will get a lot of other options also. You may even get the PHP also in that. So I will go for the Java, and I'm going to say I want to create a plain Java application. As simple as that. So if you click on something else, for example, if you click on HTML5, you will get an option for HTML5. If you click on Java web, you get an option for Java web, but I'm not interested in that. I want the Java, plain old Java, and I'm going to click on application. Let me click on next button. At the bottom you will see next button. Just click on next. Now it's going to ask you for the name of this project. I'm going to say this is exercise B6. That's my exercise. So exercise B6. I will just click on finish, the button over here, to complete it. When you complete the project, you will notice that inside this project, either you will get the project here or on the here, and inside this project there will be a cup like this, Java symbol with the application name that you just created, that is EXB6. Under this, if you click on this plus symbol over here, if you click on this plus symbol, so here, okay, you will notice, okay, there are source packages and libraries will be there. Libraries are all the Java libraries. If you click on plus sign, you will see all the JDK 1.8 I am using, and all the related libraries will be there. jar files will be there. We will not be using them as of now. Under the source package, you will find it is created a package called as EXB6. It has created that package. Under this package, if you click on plus, it has created one Java class. Okay, so there is one Java class called as EXB6. That is same as the name of the application. So you are going to create all your classes inside this package. So anything and everything you are going to create under this package. Now if you look at this Java EXB.6, you will notice it will appear like this. Right at the top, it will add some remark statement, and you know very well remark statements are of no use for the program, so you can delete it. Definitely when you are taking the printout, you may use it to write the question and the date, exercise number, and so on and so forth. So that is the header part of your practical exercise. You may use it. As of now, I don't need anything. So by default, what NetBeans will do is it will create a package called as EXB6. If you notice that it has already created that package EXB6. Inside it, it has created a class called as EXB6, which is the same name, that is this class. And it has added the main function, that is public void, public static void main. It has already added for you. So all these things are done directly to you. So during your examination, you can save this much of time if you are using NetBeans. Now we will proceed with what we are supposed to do it. We are supposed to create 3 threads over here. If you notice, the first thread will generate a random number. Second thread will generate the square, and the third thread will generate the cube. So I'm going to start with the second thread, the creation of the second thread, that is square, and then I will create the next thread cube, and finally I'm going to create the first thread, that is going to create a random number. Now what does this second thread will do? Second thread will take this random number, whatever random number was generated, and then computes the square. So what the second thread has to do is it has to take one number from outside. It has to take one number, n, let me say, and then calculate n into n, that is n into n is nothing but n square, and then give the output. That is simple as that. Okay, so let's create that thing. I'm going to call it as the square. I'm going to call it this particular class as square. Now how do you proceed? Now if you go to this project, generally this project will be available like this as a tab here or as a tab at this particular location. I'm going just to show you both of them. Suppose if I even activate like this, you will see the projects here, services project like this. Or if you minimize it, you will see it on the other side. In both the cases, it will be appearing on one of the places. Now you know very well, anything that you are going to do, all the classes has to come inside this particular package. So you have to create all your classes, unless and otherwise they say that create one new package. You are going to create all of them under this package. Otherwise you have to import the other package. Suppose if you create a different package, you import it. So let me right click on this at this particular location. Remember, it is already selected. Right click and say new and Java class. It is simple as that. So right click on this one, new Java class. That's simple as that. And it's going to ask you for the name of the class. Remember one important thing, by convention, class name must begin with the capital letter. So remember that thing. Most of the students just forget that thing. It's a convention, it is not really required, but the convention says that your class name must begin with the capital letter. So I'm going to call it as square, S in capital. This is for convention. Okay, so anywhere in this world if you go, if you find yes, something that is coming in capital, that means they know that it is something, a class. Okay, so let's go here and let's create a class called a square, and I'm going to just click on finish. That's it, it's done. Now as usual, the NetBeans will add a remark statement. Okay, you can change this remark statement if at all you want, or you can delete it. Okay, when you are taking printout, you can always delete it. Because it is created, this particular class is created under the package, that is exb6. Under this package, this class is created. So it's going to say package exb6, and there is a class called as square. Now you are supposed to create, according to the program, you are supposed to create a thread. So that is what they are saying. Create this thread, second thread. How do you create a thread? This is a class. Now I don't know what is how to create a thread. So because you know what is an object-oriented concept, if you don't know what is it, you can always extend it from the existing one. So some good person has created a class called as thread, and I'm going to extend my class out of it. So what is the meaning of it? So someone has already created a class called as thread, and I am going to build my class outside this. I'm going to extend this class and add something extra. So existing is there. For that, I am going to add some extra things which is required for me. So these are all base routine things are there inside this thread, and I am going to add something extra. So this is what is the meaning of saying extends. So I am going to go to the public class square, and I'm going to say ext. Now good thing about NetBeans is if you use the control space CTRL plus space bar, you know very well that space bar, you're already familiar. If you press control and space bar, you get the help that is required. So automatic help will be always available. Now I don't know the spelling, so during the examination you may also get confused. Some people will write it in capitals and they struggle, they will type it in capital and they will get error. They don't know what is that error and so on and so forth. So you can avoid all these things by asking NetBeans to complete the task for you. So I type ext and I type control space, and you notice NetBeans will do the needful things to you. Okay, spelling is proper and it has quickly typed everything. So you save a lot of time during your examination, and you know very well time is very crucial during your practical examination. Now I'm going to say extend and ther. So I'm supposed to extend it out of thread. Again I will press control space and NetBeans will give me the help. So you can extend it from thread depth, thread group, thread local. I don't know all those things. I want it to be thread. You select, you can double click on it or press enter. One and the same, you get the thing. I pressed enter, not double clicked on it. So it extends out of that thread. So that is simple as that. Because it extended out of the thread, you had a thread here. Where is that? Class thread was there. You extended this thread class. So now your class is also thread because it is already thread is already part of it. So square is now a thread because it extends out of thread. As simple as that. It has extended out of thread. That is why it is thread. So you know very well we are all Homo sapiens. What is the meaning of saying Homo sapiens? We were extended out of Homo sapiens. Our shape, color and skin texture, everything may be different. But at the base we are Homo sapiens. So if you learn biology, we humans were generated out of apes. So that's why we say Homo sapiens. Okay. Similarly, square is extended out of thread. So that's why it is also a thread. It may have something extra, but it is a thread. Okay. The dogs will be there. Different varieties of dogs will be there. Bulldog, Doberman, and so on. They are all dog. Basically, they are a dog. Okay, so similarly square is a thread. Basically it is a thread. Why it is a thread? Because it is extending out of thread. As simple as that. Now what is this particular thread is supposed to do? Thread is supposed to create the square of the number that is generated. That means the thread must know which number got generated. Now when you learn Java, somebody is going to tell you that there is something called as a constructor, and there is also called as parameterized constructor. Now, how do you write a constructor? You don't need to struggle in NetBeans. Again, press Control Space. So that is the very easiest option you can get. And the right at the top, it's actually is going to say, I don't know whether it is visible to you or not. Do you want me to generate this constructor for you? So you don't need to type anything. You just press enter and NetBeans will complete the work for you. So it created the constructor for you. So this is called as a constructor. Public followed by the name of the class. Okay. This class, you know very well, whenever you create a second class, it must take that random integer. So you created this. For this, you are supposed to give one number. So when you create this particular object, you are supposed to give one number. So I'm going to give that number to this class. How do I do it? Now you are a bit familiar with your C program. So I'm going to pass a parameter n into this. Okay, so this thing n is coming from outside world. So from the outside world, n is supplied to you and you are supposed to store it. Somewhere you need to store it. So I'm going to store it here. So where am I supposed to store it? I'm going to store, I'm going to press enter here and I'm going to create an integer variable and I'm going to call it as ESQ. This is an internal variable and I'm going to store ESQ equal to n. So what did I do? So if you are wondering what did I do? So here this was my class. I got one value, say 50. Okay, 50 is coming in the form of n. That n I am storing it inside SQ. What is SQ? SQ is internal. So I am getting this value and storing it internally. From the outside you got some value and you are storing it inside this SQ. Now the next thing is, that's not enough. You are supposed to get this random number. That is what they said. Get this random number and then compute the square of it. How do you get the square of it? Okay. Now thread, there are some stories behind the threads. If you press control space here, if you notice, by now NetBeans will give you a lot of options. Okay, these are all the constructors. Now there are some methods which are available here, clone, count, and so on and so forth. Okay, a lot of methods. Still more will be there. If you, I'm going to just zoom out, and if you notice, lot of methods are there. Okay, for thread. Okay. What is the meaning of saying lot of methods are there? See, what did we do? We created something called as our class, which is nothing but the square, which is extending out of threads. So this is our class square that is extending. We are adding some extra things to the thread. Thread already has some methods and variables and all these things are there. So already something is there. For this we are adding something extra. So it is like you buy a scooter or a bike or a car, and you add extra lights, extra sticker, and so on and so forth. Maybe new car stereo is fitted, and so on and so forth. You add extra. At the end, it is a car or it is a scooter. You add extra things. But you know very well, when you brought the scooter, there is already a petrol tank. There is already tires are there. So it is already coming with the fitted, all things are fitted already. Basic things are already fitted. Similarly, thread class comes with some methods and some variables which are already fitted. It's like company fitted. So you are extending. Already company fitted some methods are there. So we are going to use that method, and which method that we are going to use. And if you notice, there are a lot of methods are there. I'm going to use the one method called as run. Very easy to remember, run. Okay, and the NetBeans says, do you want to override this method? Already it is like already they have fitted a halogen bulb to your scooter, and you want to remove that, override it, and put a LED bulb headlight, LED headlight. So company has fitted a halogen bulb, and you remove it and put your fancy bulb into that. So that is, you are overriding company fittings. So similarly here, run method is already there in the base class, that is thread class, and now NetBeans says, do you really want to override it? I say yes, I want to override it. Okay, so I don't have to type the whole thing. I just press enter. You know very well. Select it, control space, select it, and then press enter. And you know very well, during the examination you have saved this much of time. And again, if you there is no syntax error, and the good part is there is no syntax error. And it just says if you want to change the method and so on. The NetBeans always helps you out with a lot of suggestions, saying that if you don't like this, so make changes on your own. I am going to keep this super.run as it is. NetBeans has added, that's not my work. I want to do some extra fitting. And what is that extra fitting I am supposed to do? I am not supposed to do anything and everything. According to the question, they say that you are supposed to find the square. Okay, so remember what did we do? So coming back to the old story, so we had a class, one n was given to you, so let's say 50 n was given to you, and we are supposed to be stored that n inside this square sq, and we are going to compute the square of it. That's all. Sq, what is the square of sq? Sq into sq. So what is square of 50? Square of 50 is 50 into 50. As simple as that. Okay, what is the square of sq? Sq is a variable. A variable can take any value. Sq into sq is the square of it. What is the cube of it? Into one more time. If you multiply it, you will get the cube of it. It's simple as that. Now we are not supposed to just compute it. We are supposed to show it as an output. And you know very well, in C you have used one method called as printf. Now we don't have printf. We have actually a printer, but we are using print method, println and a print method. So how do we write that thing? You have to write a very lengthy step for that. Fortunately, NetBeans has a shortcut. Okay, what is this shortcut? Shortcut is you just yes out. Remember, this is not a Java syntax. You press yes out and then press tab. What you notice here is NetBeans will write the actual syntax. So I'm going to do it one more time. So you say yes out. Excuse me. Yes must be in capital. Now, this is the actual syntax that you have here. Okay, you are supposed to write system, yes capital, system dot out dot println. Okay, even if you make one small mistake, instead of capitals, if you write a small case, you will not get that thing. But with the NetBeans, you just have to write simple thing. Yes out, all in small case, and press enter. You get the print line. Here I am going to say square of, we are supposed to find the square of SQ. Remember, SQ is our variable. Square of SQ is, now in C you have studied strings, and in strings you study something called as string concatenation. I am doing string concatenation. What is string concatenation? Adding the strings together. So I create one lengthy string. So square root of SQUARE. So square. Okay. I think you have to learn English now. Anyway, square of sorry, I said the square root. Did I say square? It is square. Square of this is, okay, SQ into SQ. Now, how is it going to appear in your output? How is it going to come? Now, suppose if this SQ that you see over here, suppose if this SQ is, suppose if that SQ is 4, if this SQ is 4, how is it going to appear? It's going to appear like this: square of 4 is 16. It's going to appear like this. Okay, so square, so you see square of the variable. What is the value of the variable? 4 is 4 into 4. This is 4 into 4, that is 16. So you have to write it in the double quotes. This is a string plus variable plus string plus one more variable. So this is how you are going to write it. That's all. You are supposed to do it in this thread, and you are done with your work. So one thread is completed. You are supposed to create the second thread now. How do I create the second thread? The story remains same. You have to go to the project. Under this project, you have to select the package, that is EXB6. Right click on it, new, and Java class. This is how you create the thread. And I'm going to create the thread number 3. What is the thread number 3? In the thread 3, you are supposed to create the cube of the number. So I will call this thread as cube. So I will give the name as cube. Remember, C must be in capital, so you say cube. And finish it off. Again, you are not supposed to create this. Remark statement is not really required. You know very well, remark statement does not make any sense in the program. So this is a class. You have to convert it into a thread. How do you do that thing? You are going to say extends. Again, I type ext control space extends out of the okay, I press control space and it says thread. I press enter. It's all done. Now I need a constructor. So how do I create a constructor? Control space, and the topmost one is this one, generated. Press enter and you got the constructor. I take a variable inside this, simple as that. Previous case also same. Previous case you were calculating square, now you are calculating the cube. Let me store this one in a local variable. I'm going to call this local variable int cb as cube, and I'm going to store that one inside this cb equal to So what did I do? In the previous case, same story is valid. You have a class here. You take a variable from the outside world. So whatever it is, 525, whatever variable, you take that variable, store it inside the local variable. So you are storing it inside a local variable. Outside, whatever you are getting from the outside world, you store it inside. That's simple as that. And then you make use of it. Now then, what is the next thing that we are supposed to do it? The thread has a lot of methods, and we are supposed to override one of the method. What is that one method? Very simple. Run is the method. Control space it, and NetBeans will give you a suggestion. Do you really want to override it? I just press enter. NetBeans will do the needful thing to you. And what is that? I am supposed to do it here. I am supposed to write system.out.println during the examination. Don't waste your time in doing that. So you just press yes out, don't press space after this, just type yes out, no spaces. After this, immediately press the tab from your keyboard. You have tab key, tab. So hope you know this one. So you have a tab key on your keyboard, use that thing. Now here I'm going to say cube of CB is, how do you get the cube? CB into CB into CB, sorry, into CB. Okay, 3 times a CB. So how is it going to appear in your output? Suppose if the entered value is 3, so how is it going to appear? So it's going to appear like this: cube of 3 is 27. 27 is how it's going to appear. So what is this cube of? If you look at here, cube of is this same thing, cube of, then there is a plus here, variable value, that is CB, then there is a plus is, then there is this is 3 into 3 into 3, 3 into 3 is 9, 9 into 3 is 27. So this is what you are going to get it as the output. So you created 2 threads are created. 2 threads are created. Let's go and create the first thread. So what are the threads that we have created? We have created the thread number 2. We have created the thread number 3. We are supposed to create the thread number 1. So let's create a thread number 1. As simple as that. How do I create the thread number 1? Story is same. We go here to the project, and inside this project you go to the package, right click on it, new Java class. Give a name to this class, give a relevant name. Now here you are supposed to create a random integer number. So first thread will generate a random integer number. I will call this as R number. You can call it like anything. I will call it as R number, random number, R number. It's as simple as that. Okay, so R number. Click finish, and you will notice that as you create one class, it will generate one method. And you notice that there is one small, I don't know whether it is visible to you or not, there is one play like this is there, play button, you know very well. So the play indicates there is a static void main method is there inside this class. In other words, it can be executable. This class can be executable. Other classes cannot be executable directly because there is no static void main inside it. So let's come to the R number. Again, this particular remark statement is not really required. Even if you keep it, nothing is going to happen. Now this is just an ordinary class. It's an ordinary class. And how do you create it? thread out of it, you extend it out of a thread. Okay, simple as that. It's all done. Okay, now do I have to press control space and select this R number? The answer is not really required, because this particular class generates that number. It does not take any number, whereas the second and the third thread takes the number. If you notice over here, if the value is even, then it does something. So it takes that number, whereas the first one just generates the number. How do I generate a random number? What is the meaning of saying random number? Randomly you have to create one number. How do we create a random number? Fortunately, people who created Java, they have thought about this logic, and they have created a class that can create the random number. So that name of that class is random. You just type RAND and press control space. And you notice that the NetBeans will say, are you talking about a class which is inside java.utilities called as random? What does this class is actually doing? So this is going to generate a pseudo random numbers, and that is what, and it is created by Donald and so on and so forth. So all stories are being written thanks to this person who are there to help you out with the Java. Now I'm going to just press enter. Okay, so it is simple as, I will just remove this one for your kind information. I'm going to just remove this one. You write like this: int x. What is an integer? It is a data type. What is x? It's a variable. Similarly, I'm going to just delete this one for your kind information. You just set a random. Okay, if I say random x, let's say random y, what is the meaning of it? Int is a data type. Similarly, random is a class. It's like a data type. X is a variable, y is also a variable. So it is like a data type and variable. Same how you write in your C program, the same story is valid over here. Now I told you I'm going to just remove that thing. So I'm going to use random. Okay, I'm going to call it as RAN equal to new random. Okay, you don't need to type whole things, random. Now if you are typing it in Notepad, and if you just type this one, it's not enough. In Notepad you will have to even type this statement: Java imports java.utility.random. You have to write that thing. Okay, if you don't write, I'm going to just delete it. NetBeans will give you an error saying that you have not used that. I don't know what is the meaning of random. Okay, in Notepad or any other things, if you are writing it, you are supposed to write that thing. So I will just show you. Suppose I delete this line. Suppose you don't need to do this one, just for your kind information. I'm going to just write random, and I'm going to just press enter. You notice a strange thing. You notice here there is nothing is there. So I'm going to just say random and just press enter. You notice that automatically NetBeans will add this import statement for you. So it's as simple as that. Okay, that is why I prefer NetBeans, because the housekeeping work, so called as a housekeeping work, will be done by the NetBeans. So again I'm back at the thing. So I have created, it is same as I have created a variable called as x. Instead of that I am calling it as ran, which is a random variable. Now when this thread is running, I am supposed to generate a random number. How do you generate a random number? Okay, so for that I am going to say I'm going to override a method called as run. You are already done that thing, so I will not waste your time in explaining again. This is a method already there, so I just type run control space, press enter. Run method is overridden. So from this class I'm going to generate a random number. How do you create a random number? Okay, so to create a random number we are supposed to use, I'm going just to say random number, ran dot next integer. You can generate, it's going to generate a random number for you. But the question is, in the question, they have not told how many numbers has to be generated. So one thing that is missing in this question is how many numbers to be generated. So here it just says that the first thread will generate a random number every second. So how many seconds will it generate? 1 minute, 2 minutes, 10 minutes, whole day? Will it, when your program is going to end? So that is what is you are saying. So you generate a random number. Say let's say you generated a random number 45. Next time you generated a random number 67. Next time you generated 3. Next time is 78. Next time 90. Now you are going to say, when are you going to stop? Are you going to keep on generating a random number like this, or is there a point where you're going to say, okay, stop, I had enough with this? So that was not told. So what I assume that because it's just a program, I am going to generate 10 random numbers. That's all. I'll stop. If it is working for 10, it will work for 100, it will work for 10,000, 100 billion, it will work for any others. So I will keep it for 10. So I will generate 10 random numbers for every second. So that is what they have said. Okay. So what is that they say? For every second, you are supposed to generate a random number. Let's generate that. Okay, so I'm going to go over here and I'm going to say, okay, let me generate the random number for you. So I will use this for loop. You know very well how to write the for loop. Okay, if you don't know, just type for, don't put any space, press tab, NetBeans will complete the for loop for you. So for I is equal to 0, I less than 10, that means it generated the for loop. Okay, so you saved a lot of time during the examination. Now some of you may be thinking that, okay, this is cheating. No, it is not cheating. To type the program, before typing, you are supposed to show that your written code to your examiner. So examiner will check what you have written is correct or not. If it is correct, they will ask you to execute. So if you are writing it, the code here, that means you already know how to write the for loop. So if you get some help, that will automatically generate a for loop. It is not cheating. Okay. So let's go and generate a random number. So I'm going to generate the random number. So I will call int. If you want to, you can create one more variable. Let me create one variable. Okay. Outside this for loop, I'm going to just create one variable int n. Okay, I'll just create one int n. N is equal to, okay, ran is my this ran. Okay, ran dot, I want to create a next integer. So I will use the second option. The reason why I am using second option, I'm going to just tell you, and I'm going to type 100. What is that? So I have typed. Now I'm just going to just close this one. Okay, what is this I have done is, suppose if you ask the Java to generate a random number, it will generate any random number, not the number between 1 and 100. It will generate a 1 and 1 billion. It will generate unconditionally, it will generate one number. But the problem is I am calculating square. You know very well what is the square of suppose if you ask what is the square of 50 into 50, what's the cube of it? 50 into 50 into 15. Remember, this is going to be a very large number. Suppose if the random number generated is 9999, what is the square of this 999 into 99999 means it is going to end up in a exception, that is a out of bound exception. The number will be very large to be handled. So I don't want such a problem to occur. So I am going to restrict myself to any number between 0 to 100. So any number between 0 to 100 is okay for me. So that is a sample. That's what we are doing. So anything between 0 to 100. Generate anything between 0 to 100, and that will be all right with me. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. So I'll remove one n. Okay, so this is what I have done. Okay, let me go over here. Okay, what is it is saying? Okay, let me redo it. I think I just deleted something. Ran dot next int, and the bound is 100. Okay, done. Okay, so you generated a random number between 0 and 100. I'm going to print that number s out. Okay, and I'm going to say, okay, here I'm going to say a random number is, and then I use plus n, whatever random number I generated, just to show you that I generated this number. So like random number is 5, random number is 13, random number is 99, random number is something. So in between 0 and 100, whatever number it is generating, I just show that thing. Now according to the question, what is that we are supposed to do? If this number is even, how do you check that if this number is even? If n mod 2 equal to 0, what is the meaning of it? If you divide a number by 2 and if there is no remainder, so this, you know very well, this is a remainder operator. If there is no remainder, that means it's an even number. If 2 divides a number, then it is an even number. If 2 does not divide a number, then it is an odd number. It's as simple as that. So if n divided by 2 is 0, then it is even. Otherwise, it is odd. It is simple as that. Okay. So it is even. It is one part is even, one part is odd. According to the question, what we are supposed to do? If it is even, so then you are supposed to create the second thread and then print the square. Otherwise, you are supposed to create the third thread and print the cube. So if it is even, let me go over here. If it is even, let me create the second thread. So how do you, what is the name of this thread that we have created? We have created square. What is this square? I just created a square here. You notice that I created that square that will compute SQ into SQ. That is what I'm doing. So I created the square. Okay, I call it as S equal to new square. And you know very well, when you create the square, you are supposed to supply that n. It is already supplied. Okay, so you know, when I told you that when I created this square, I told you that this square will take a number n from outside. So it is taking it. Now if you notice over here, it is taking it. Done. Now if you just create, it's not going to happen. You have to run this square. How do you run it? You have already written a method called as run. You call that thread. So here you create a thread and then you execute that thread. What is the meaning of saying execute that thread? You are going to say run. Okay, but very excuse me, very important thing in the examination, you do this mistake. Okay, because I wrote the run method here, I'm going to call this run. No, you cannot call that run method here. So some of you may think, okay, I will write run. No, run. You know, you can use a vehicle, you can run your scooter, you can run your bike, you can run your car, but what is the first thing you are supposed to do? First thing you are supposed to do is start your scooter, start your bike, start your car. So the method that you are going to use is start, not the run. Start method is the first. When you start the vehicle, automatically it will start running. So don't run it without starting it. So that's the method you're supposed to call it. Remember that thing. So during the examination, you make that one silly mistake and you will not get the answer. So if it is, let's come to this part. So this is for the even part. So if the number is not divisible by 2, then what am I supposed to do it? I am supposed to create the cube. The story remains same, cube. I will call C is equal to new cube and supply n, and you can't run the cube. You are supposed to start the cube. Okay, that's the end of it. Now very important thing, this part is you have done it, but if you do this, it will randomly complete. Your program will run and stop in no time. But according to the question, you are supposed to wait for 1 second. That part is also there. So you generate, what is the meaning of it? You generate one number, say 55, random number, wait for 1 second, then generate the next number, random, any random, wait for 1 second, then generate the next number. So wait for, you have to do, in other words, after generating one number you have to sleep for, or sleep means you have to wait, sleep for 1 second, then only you are supposed to generate the second number. So wait for that number. Okay, I mean 1 second. So that is what they have said. So 1 second, that is what they said, to wait for every 1 second. So how do I make the for loop? So you know, you have to use this for loop in the C also. How do I, this for loop will you start from I equal to 0 to 1 and quickly complete it, but I don't want it to complete it very quickly. Remember, I am still inside the for loop. I'm still inside the for loop. Now I want this for loop to generate one number at a random number at 1 second. That means after generating one number it has to wait for 1 second. How do I do that thing? Fortunately, Java has given you a very simple method called as a thread dot sleep. So what it is going to do, causes the currently executing thread to sleep, temporarily cease operation for the specified number of millisecond. Very important, millisecond. So what is 1 second? 1 second is 1000 milliseconds is equal to 1 second. So if you want, if you don't ask your math teacher, they will tell you more about so this is not 1000 minutes, 1000 hours, 1000 days, 1000 seconds. It is 1000 milliseconds. That means 1 second. Now if you do like this, Java will say that what if I fail to do it? Your program will crash. So you need to handle something called as exception. In your C program that story was not there. So when in other programming language we have something called as exception handling. What if the program is not doing the way that you expect it to do? Then you have to say, you do something else. That is called as exception handling. Exception, you know very well. Exception is something that happens beyond your control. Something that suddenly ceases to happen and it ceases to run your program. In this case, this particular line that you see over here has to be surrounded with the try catch. Now, what is the syntax for try catch? I don't know, but I know that NetBeans can help me out. If you look at this particular bulb over here, NetBeans will say that you can read the message over here. There is an exception, but there may be an exception, and you are not handling that exception. In Java, if you don't handle the exception, Java will say I will not execute the code for you. Even if your code is proper, if there is an exception cases, you have to handle it. You have to tell me what I'm supposed to do if the thread dies on its own. So in that case, what am I supposed to do it? So you tell me, otherwise I will not execute it. So to satisfy this Java, you have to write a try catch method. How do I do that thing? I'm going to click on this bulb over here. You see this one bulb, click on here, and Java gives an option, configure it and so on. I will say surround this statement, the statement that I have just written, with the try catch. I'll just click here and do it. The NetBeans will do all the things. Otherwise, during the examination, you have to type this whole thing on your own. It will take a lot of time, and if you make a mistake, you will end up in much bigger trouble. So allow NetBeans to do its work, and it will do it without a syntax error, unless and otherwise you would make some changes and break the code. This code will work fine. So you are supposed to write try, then you are supposed to write thread sleep, then you are supposed to write catch, and all these things you are supposed to write it. But NetBeans will do it for you, and you can quickly write the code and then execute it. However, this is not over. Let me save this one. This is not over. You have to run your code. Now if you look at here, I have already told you right at the beginning, you can't run cube, you can't run R number, you can't run the square. You can only execute exb. this can only be executed because there is a static void main. Without main, your C program is not working. In the same way, without the main in Java, Java will not work. So let's go to this main here, exb.1, this particular thing here, and in this you will find this static void main. You can remove this remark statement, it is of no use to us. Okay, I am going to create the thread. Which one I am supposed to create? There are 3 threads are there. Which one you are going to create? So you are going to create this first thread. First thread will generate a random number. Depending upon which random number is generated, either cube or square will be automatically called. So call this method and everything will be done for you. So how do I do that? Now in Java, suppose if you have not studied Java, as of now I am sure classes have not started, so you may find it a bit difficult, but you are supposed to create an instance of this class. This whole thing is called as a class. You have to create an object out of that class. So let me create this one. It is same, again it is same as writing int x. Okay, so here I am writing r number. Okay, I say number, num, you can type anything, number equal to, now this is a variable and I am just creating a variable r number, as simple as that. Remember, we are not supplying any variable, we are not overriding anything, and what you are supposed to do, again dot start, simple as that. You create and just do it. So it's all done. In NetBeans it is much simpler, much faster. Within a second you will be able to write the code and execute it. Now how do you run the code in NetBeans? You have the play button here. You can just click on this and run this project. So I'm going to click on this and run my project, and what you notice here is it will create a random number. So random number is 4 and thread 2 is called, because it's a even number, thread 2 is called, square of 4 is 16. Random number is 99, which is a odd number, so cube is called. A random number, it generates randomly, it generates one number, and if it is a even, it will calculate the square, otherwise cube, and so on. Now I will rerun it just to show you. I will rerun it again. You will show you, it will notice that 1 second it waits, 1 second. You notice here it 1 second it waiting 1 second. That 1 second sleep. How did you get that thing? That 1 second sleep you got it because here in the R number you are making it the thread to sleep for a longer time. Now if I make it as just for, I don't want to extend the video, I'm going to just stop the video after this. If I make it as 3 second, 3 is I think too much, 2 second, let's say 2 second, 2000 millisecond, that is 2 second. And if you, I will save it and then run it, and you notice that it takes longer time to get the next number. 2 second waiting, see, 2 second waiting, and you get a number. Once the number is generated, immediately the threads will start executing. So this is how you can generate the number. Thank you for watching this video. We will meet again in the other program. Thank you.